All right.
Where was I? Like,
We have some technical difficulties here. So, um, you were talking about um, the evil turning on the radio and all. And I was saying you can hear it. He turned it up loud enough to hear you on the third floor.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was definitely an issue. And when I was talking about that, something else came to mind. I don't know if you remember. I know we didn't hang out a whole lot in high school, but we hung out a few times. But we used to back in high school. We used to hang out like outside at someone's house, and I we always thought it was me, and I'm pretty sure it was me. But I had this thing where if we hung out underneath a street light, the street light would go out. So we'd end up having to walk to another street light, especially if we're hanging out at night, at midnight, just, getting into trouble and stuff. And then that street light would go out. I've had light bulbs in my house go off, burn out so fast. And it's still to this day, it happens. And I actually saw an X-Files episode where Giovanni Ribisi was on an episode where he was like this electric man, where he affected the lights around him and stuff. I've always had that since high school, and so part of me was initially thinking that was what the stereo was, but I'm like, well, I've never turned anything on. I always blow things up, you know.
Right.
So this was the opposite and stuff. But yeah, my wife, and she understands. She gets mad at me when the light bulb goes out because we have a couple light bulbs that just seem to go out all the time. There's no explanation for it. We've had it looked at. Everything's fine. And so just no matter what light bulb we put in there, it'll burn out really fast and stuff. So sometimes I like to think that's my mom, maybe saying hi, and you know, it's like, well, at least you're only costing me 30 cents each time or something. But
Yeah, my mother-in-law does that too.
hmm,
Her lights go out all the time. And it doesn't matter what house she's in. She's been in a few houses, and it's almost a daily occurrence. A light will go out on her. It's like it's crazy.
well,
Crazy.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So you're not the only one I've heard that from. They do work with electricity. Um, let's see. Jamie Butler. I don't know if you've heard of her,
Mm-mm.
but she's out there and she's got this one spirit that turns on these flashing lights and stuff like that, and turn on lights, turn off lights, or flash lights. They do all kinds of stuff. So
That's
it could
interesting.
be. It could be something within you or something they're trying to tell you. Yeah.
I've always thought that. Well, in fact, we have a trash can in our kitchen, and it's got one of those tops that kind of flap open,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
stuff. And I'll be sitting in the living room, and I'll hear that like doop, doop, like someone just threw something away in the wastebasket.
Yeah.
It's 1 in the morning. My wife's upstairs sleeping, and I'll just look over and I'm like, oh, well, hello. I'll say hello to whoever might be in here,
Yeah.
and stuff.
They're
So
cleaning house for you. Tell them if they're going to be doing that, they need a clean house.
they're not doing a good enough job.
Oh, man. You got to talk harder on them.
That's right. That's right. You're fired.
You're
So
fired.
I shall
And they,
cleanse you if you don't clean this house.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you have between 2 and 4. I think that's the magic hours. It's like between 3 and 4 or 2 and 4 is their magic hour, is where spirit typically comes out. So if you
Interesting.
have that stuff happening, you've been mentioning the 2 o'clock area a
Yep.
lot, they could be coming out about that time. I tend to wake up around the 2 o'clock area.
Interesting.
Just wake up between two and well, I get up at 4. So between 2 and 3 ish, I tend to wake up. Just automatically wake up for no reason. I just eyes pop open, at least to look at the clock or something. Then so yeah.
It's weird that you say that because my wife, I think almost, I'll have to ask her, but almost every night she wakes up about 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and she has to, like, she plays a game, her mind will start racing, and so she'll play a game to help her relax and get back to sleep and stuff. But because there's been times I've woken up right. I mean, I wake up and look at the clock. It's exactly 4 o'clock in the morning. Like not a minute before, not a minute after, and
Right
stuff.
at 4.
That's really weird you mentioned that. So
Yeah.
you,
I,
you, you
go
know
ahead.
why that is?
It's when you're most open. It's typically around that time frame is when people are most open for them. So you're not quite awake, but you're not asleep. So
Gotcha.
the mindset is relaxed and they're open for them to come in and communicate with you.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a time frame that's most even for them to be able to come down in their level, their energy, and us rising in our energy. So it's just kind of the time frame
Hmm.
that's most popular for that. I mean, that's when they call it the visiting hour.
The visiting it. Well, I'm glad I don't take my shower then. So
Oh, I've had that. I've had that.
really,
Yes, I've been in the shower after we moved in this house. I had in previous shows I've talked about my ET experience of having 6 ETs in my room back in what 91, 92. I was living by myself and I had one hanging out my window or looking through my window, and there was a flat wall to the apartments there, and then I had like it was like 3 on the end of my bed, 1 on the side of my bed, 1 in my closet. Okay. And I was by myself, first time in my own apartment. I was like completely on my own. And so I always had my phone next to me, you know. So
right.
when this happened, I'm like, call mom, I got to call mom for help. And like mom wouldn't be able to do anything about it, right? But you know, she's 30 minutes away. There's no way she was going to be able to help me. Anyways, that's all I could think of at the moment. And then but anyways, they were there, and a couple days later I noticed a bullet hole or something in my neighbor's window, which is like maybe 2 feet from my window. It was the
That's
strangest
weird.
little thing. Yeah, I'll have to tell you more about it since everybody's kind of heard my story. That heard all this stuff, and next thing I know, I'm waking up in the night, and I've got all these ETs around me, and so they wouldn't disappear. They went away. I didn't see them anymore until I came into this house that we're in now. And middle of the night again, I rouse up. I had this feeling there was one at the end of my bed. So I knew they were there. I couldn't see them or anything. I just felt them there, felt the presence. And I knew this entity was looking and watching me. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Okay, no problem. You seem to do something to me before. So I called them my angels at the time. And then another time I felt them at the end of the bed, but they were watching my husband. So
That's weird.
it was weird. And then another time I'm in the shower. I turn around, not to get weird on the show or anything, but I turn around and you would think I would look at my husband's height, if he was in there. But I went down. I went down to that 3-foot level of how tall they were in the apartment. So when I turned around, I went down instead of turning around and looking straight. So I
That's
felt
interesting.
them. So they were in the shower with me that time. So it was like kind of weird, but okay, just you need to back off now. You need to walk away. But I probably scared him away with my never mind. But anyways, then later I was in my bedroom and I turned around at the corner of my eye. I saw this shadow ghost up on my wall.
Mm.
So I turned and looked and I saw him walking away, or almost like so fast that his cape kind of did a wave in it. So after that happened, I did a cleansing of the house and I hadn't seen the ET since. So
Interesting.
it makes me wonder if this is a star seed family of mine, and they're here to protect me from whatever was going on around me. Like my nephew, I was talking with him, and he was saying they were probably there protecting you from the bullets that were going around that night.
Mm.
And they froze me because I could not move. I was paralyzed. I could not move. And they paralyzed me so I wouldn't move so that they can protect me. So
Interesting. Yeah, you wouldn't want to sit up at the wrong time.
no, because if I sat up and something came through the other side, it would have gotten me.
Hmm. That's scary.
Yeah, I soon moved out of that place.
Yeah, I can see why.
I went back to Arvada.
Well, I was gonna say, what kind of neighborhood well, my dad lived in a neighborhood where the house across the street had like 3 drive-bys on it, so
Oh, yeah.
that was
No
up
fun.
on like 71st and Pecos up in that area,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it was kind of scary for a single female by herself, young chick,
sure.
So I got out of there. But anyways, yeah, it was, I kind of look back and I said that maybe they were my angels, they were helping me, watching me and my husband now.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm a firm believer in angels, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. I'm pretty sure that, since my mom died, I know that she has protected me quite a few times from getting into a lot of trouble. I mean, I hate to say it, but
You?
there's been a couple of times well, for one, I've got veteran plates on my car, so I think that helps out a little bit from staying out of trouble. But there was one night, so my mom, she was an alcoholic. When growing up, she was an alcoholic, and I think it was the last 3 years of her life after I joined the Navy that she really she just sobered up, and she really got into religion, was going to church all the time. And it's ironic that she was killed by a drunk driver. That's like the full circle of travesty, right there. But I there was one night my wife and I went to a party, and it was St. Patrick's Day. It was way out in Elizabeth, kind of that area. So we're coming down Parker Road, probably, I don't know, midnight. And of course, I had a little bit to drink. It wasn't excessive, but I had a little bit to drink. And I always knew that if I ever had like a DUI, my family, based on what happened to my mom, would just let me rot. They wouldn't bail me. They would just let me rot. So we're coming down Parker Road, and we get pulled over. And I'm kind of worried because I had probably 4 or 5 beers, and I'm kind of worried. And I look at my wife and I'm like, hey, whatever happens, I'm like, it'll be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Well, this female officer comes up, and then she gets all my information and stuff. And my wife had been drinking a little bit too, and stuff. So I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some kind of odor coming out of the car. But she just came back up to me, and she just handed me my paperwork. She goes, well, I pulled you over because you have a light bulb hanging over your license plate on the back. So go ahead and take care of that. And then she says, you can go on your way. And I mean, my wife
You're
and I,
lucky.
oh yeah, my wife, we sat there for about, it seemed like forever. It was like a minute. We didn't talk. We were just frozen, like, oh my God. So we just drove off and stuff, and there's been a few instances like that I think my mom's probably helped me through, and stuff, and there's been some really, really, really close calls on accidents that I still to this day don't know how I didn't get into some accidents. Um, it's almost like one car. I was coming down 60 miles an hour in the left-hand lane of the highway, and the lane next to me was stopped, and a car pulled out right in front of me. And all I did is hit the brakes, and I closed my eyes. And next thing you know, the car's not there. It's 50 feet away from me. And I'm like, how did that even happen?
Oh,
It's not like it was a
Steve.
race car or anything. So it's weird things like that I'm pretty sure she's always there, and stuff. I've probably given her, got her work cut out for her. I think that whenever I do see her again, she's probably gonna just slap me and like, man, like,
Now I can sleep.
yeah, exactly. Like, you are not easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I've had things like that too, where when I worked at UPS for a while, I was always falling asleep at the road and everything. And one time I was living in Thornton at the time. For those people out there, it's like a 30-mile drive from where I was living to the airport where I worked. And I remember the one time I locked the door, and I don't remember anything else. I was parked out on the street. I don't remember walking out to my car, to the street. I don't remember driving. There's like 8-10 turns I had to make to get there. I don't remember walking into the building. I don't remember punching in. I don't remember our morning meeting. Next thing I remember is talking with the guys at work.
That's weird.
And that is, from what I've understood, is a channeling. I was channeled. So somebody had took over my body, probably because I needed to sleep. And they took over my body and took me to work, then let me sleep.
You know,
I don't know exactly. I'm still kind of figuring out some of my incidents, but
well, so something like that, when I was stationed in Virginia, that exact same thing happened to me. I lived on a peninsula. Uh, I lived in Hampton, which is on a peninsula. Now the main part of Norfolk is in Virginia Beach, is kind of like on the mainland there. And one night we were out shooting pool with a couple of friends. In order to get to my townhouse on the peninsula, you have to go through two bridge tunnels. Now these tunnels go under the river, right? So you're on a big bridge on top of a river, and then these tunnels go under the river. They're really kind of freaky and
yeah,
stuff, but that's how you get out there. You go through two bridge tunnels, and then I lived out by Williamsburg at the time, and there was one night in particular, and it's to me it's vivid, except for this one moment. I remember leaving the pool hall that we were at, and I remember waking up the next morning. And I don't remember, like you said, I don't remember getting in the car.
yeah,
I don't remember getting on the highway. I don't remember going over the bridge tunnels, which, they're scary enough as it is. And I don't remember, taking the third exit and, because I was still kind of new out to Hampton in that area. I don't remember any of that. Like
yeah,
it's like it didn't happen. And I even called my friend and asked him, I said, did you give me a ride home or did you drive me home? Because I don't remember anything. And no,
yeah,
yeah, it's weird that you say that because
yeah. I've had several incidents like that. Another time I was driving from the airport to Metro school, because I was going to school right after work, and I worked at 2 o'clock in the morning. So this was like a night shift and then driving into work or school the next morning. And I was starting to veer off onto one of the exits and realized, oh crap, because that's when I woke up, So I'm like, oh crap, I need to get back. And I wasn't too far onto the exit. So I just went back into my lane. I looked behind me and there was a cop behind me. So it's like, I wonder how well I do drive when I'm asleep. But I don't know if I was really asleep during those times. I wonder if I was channeling and somebody was protecting me while I was sleeping. They took over the wheel, almost like that song, Underwood.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus
Jesus
take the
Take the
wheel.
Wheel. I had that one too. I put that on last week's episode. There is that story. So you'll have to listen to that one. That was just so weird. So weird. I literally had the Jesus Take the Wheel, Steve, and it was really, you'll have to listen to it or we'll chat afterwards. But yeah, I've had that. There was something else you were talking about that I wanted to, the orbs. Going back to the orbs, I have a video when I first got our second dog here, our little girl here. She was outside playing in the snow and everything, and I took a video of her. And as the video was going, you could see all these orbs. You couldn't see it just looking out there, but looking in the phone, you could see all these orbs going all over. And there's an orb that came in from the outside and kind of followed our new puppy around and then went over and stayed like over on the fence side right there for a bit. And then it kind of worked its way over to where her kennel was. And then it kind of went away. And I'm
Interesting.
thinking that was my last puppy, my last dog.
Mm.
So she just passed away like 6 months prior to that. And so I think it was her coming in saying, "Hey, Dipsy, these are the rules of the house. Now listen here."
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really,
Well,
that was really cool.
animals are like that. We currently have 3 cats. 2 of them are brothers, and they haven't been getting along, so we've had to separate them in separate rooms and stuff, And
Siblings.
yeah, 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 and it's tiresome because we have to let one out for 2 hours, then put him back and let the other one out for 2 hours, and then my cat,
Mhm.
she's 20 years old. We put her up in the bedroom. And I don't think she likes that. She's always This has been her house, and then these 2 boys
Yeah.
come in. We've actually hired a person that talks to animals. Um, we've hired her twice now, and she's able to communicate with animals. She can channel and stuff, and she's still learning her craft. And she said that unlike her friend that has spirits coming at her all the time, she has to really kind of go into a zone to do that. But
Hmm.
she when we hired her the first time, she talked about a cat that we had that had passed on. Her name was
Uh-huh.
Jezebel, Tuxie and Jezebel. Tuxie's the cat I have now.
Uh-huh.
Jezebel was her sister, and Jezebel was kind of a bully. Um, and so we never mentioned any of that to her. And she said, well, Tuxie had mentioned that Jezebel used to bully her all the time. So Tuxie just wants to have the house to herself. And we just kind of looked at each other. It's like, well, we never said anything about that. And so she then told Jezebel, it's like, well, you need to go over that rainbow bridge and you need to go on to the other side and leave Tuxie alone, and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, animals tend to do that. I've heard a lot of people say they love to just hang out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Animals are a lot like humans, they like to come back and visit and see how you're doing and say hi and all of that. Um, yeah, and animals are typically very sensitive to spirit.
Oh
They
yeah.
are very spirited. From what I'm understanding, they are able to understand us a lot better than we think they do. They are, they're just so, that's how they can communicate with us so well, because they understand us, but we don't understand them because
Mhm.
they're so much higher on their energy level.
Yeah, well, I'd asked her, because this lady had told us that we need to talk to the cats and let them understand why. Because these 2 boys we got from a friend of my wife's, she ended up becoming a traveling nurse, so there's no way that she could keep the cats and stuff.
Oh
But
yeah.
they were confused as to why they were given up and brought over here and stuff. And we come to find out because she had asked us, find out if these were the two last cats picked out of the litter. Was all their brothers and sisters taken before these 2? Well, come to find out, all of their brothers and sisters died. These are the only 2 that lived and
Oh
stuff.
no.
And she
Oh.
picked up on that. But so I asked her, I said, well, how do I talk to my cat? How will the cat understand? She says, it's not what you say, it's the thought and how you say it, that the animals will pick up on your thoughts. And as long as you really kind of think about what you're saying and stuff, that's what they're picking up on. And then that's how she's able to interpret other animals, and she could pick up their thoughts. She could do it from 1,000 miles away. She could talk to an animal in France,
Yeah.
and stuff. But that, to me, I think that's amazing and stuff. But it's truly believable. I mean, she said stuff that there's no way that she would have known.
Yeah.
Uh, So hopefully the cats didn't tell her all the bad stuff either. But
Yeah, I have my friend that has kind of helped me with our dog because she's got some allergies, and he's like, he's because he can read animals too. So he's like, I think she has some allergies that she's bringing into the house from outside. So she's pulling whatever allergens outside on her paws, and she brings them inside. And then when she
Oh,
rolls on her back, she always sneezes when she's on her back
interesting.
because she's so close to the allergens, and she licks her paws all the time and everything because of the allergens. And so we're working with her on that, trying to get those so she's not so you're you know uncomfortable or what.
Yeah. Well, this lady's the one that told us the one cat wasn't feeling good. Found out he had an ear infection. And there's some other things going on we're having them tested for too. So I think they didn't, they go by scent. They recognize each other by scent. And I think his scent changed when he wasn't feeling good. And that's why the one was attacking the other. He just didn't recognize him
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah.
So
Oh, no.
it's a work in progress. This has been since January. So we've got a behavioralist that's going to come over and try to reintroduce him and stuff. But I do believe in that kind of stuff. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's cool stuff. I've got
It
more
is.
stories. I've got more stories. So we'll have to chat again.
Well, I'll watch your podcast and I'll listen to all
Please
those stories.
do. Click the like, share,
Right.
and subscribe buttons.
I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, it's and if you know anybody that would like to be on the show, everyone, please contact me. Lighttalk423 at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let me
Well,
know.
my co-founder of my band and his wife, they've had plenty of experiences.
Bring them on.
And I think they would love to talk about that.
Oh, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah,
So,
they've
yes.
got some really crazy stories. So
Well, please contact them. Let me know. Send them my information.
I will do
And
that.
yeah, that'd be awesome. And yeah, I think our time is running short here. So thank you so much for being on here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, it was a thrill. It was a thrill. This is always so much fun on this. Hearing everyone's stories and everything. And that's what it's here for. That's what I'm doing this.
That's
So
right.
bring it on, bring all the stories on, and we'll get you on the show as a guest, and we will chat with you later.
All right, Dana. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for spending the time, and hopefully we can get all these bugs worked out.
or yeah, the bugs that are helping us out, I think.
Yeah, all those spirits. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll chat with you later.
You bet, Dana.
All right. Bye.
Bye.